What is going on, everybody? It is Monday night. That means one thing and one thing only. That Aaron Rodgers once again has decided he wanted to come back from behind and win a game. Right, Anthony?
Dude's clutch.
Yes, he is. What a predictable outcome that was. Very predictable.
You know, it just kind of just goes with the season right now. Any given Sunday, the Bills could beat the Vikings. The 49ers for about 58 minutes look like they're going to beat the Packers, in Green Bay. And then Aaron Rodgers puts his cape on and goes out there and shows why he's worth $1 bazillion.
Yeah, even with a bum knee and blood and bleeding all over the place.
It's like Rocky Balboa.
He is. He's like the Rocky Balboa of football. That's what he is. Put a giant Russian in front of him, he'll still come back and win. That's just what he does, I guess. I want to thank anyone who watched the show or saw the show last week. I want to thank my good friend Juggles. Juggles, I had a last minute thing I had to attend, and I couldn't be on the show last week. So our homeboy Jugs, as we call him, Juggles, filled in for me. So if you got the show last week, props and shout out to our boy Jugs. Thank you so much. Did you enjoy being on the show with Juggles there, Anthony, last week?
He was lively. I don't want to hate on you, Edward. You're my boy, but he brings a different style, man. Swagger to the show.
Ooh, swagger, you should say. Did he actually juggle?
I don't think there was any juggling going on. He was pretty serious for a while, and then he kind of let loose a little, and then his face paint kind of started coming off his face. And
yeah. It's hot. It's really hot being behind these lights and behind the microphone. There's a lot of pressure, so I could see maybe he could have been sweating a little bit, because he's not used to being on. He's used to performing for kids. He's not used to being on a national radio show like this one here. So thank you, Juggles. I appreciate it. Juggles is a long life Dodger fan, and he is
he is now.
He is sad tonight though because they lost again. So, but kudos to that, and thank you everyone for playing along. What a great weekend of football we had this weekend. I was able to be in town and was able to watch all the games, which is like my favorite thing to do. Kudos to my Oregon Ducks on Saturday for beating number 7 Washington as well. What a great game that was. What a great weekend of college football, too. Just overall, a great weekend of football, especially being a Chargers and an Oregon Ducks fan. I can't say any more to that. Not so much for Anthony. Raiders proved that they can't win in the United States or the UK. So, there's that. They're not good there. I don't think they play those Chucky movies in the UK. I don't think they are allowed to. They're too scary for the Brits. You think so?
Yeah, I don't think they have Child's Play over there. The Raiders historically they played in London a couple years back against Miami, and unfortunately it was another blowout. I don't know what's going on over there in Oakland. Chucky and now there's rumors of Amari Cooper and Carl Joseph, the first rounder a couple years back on the trade blog. They're going to trade me, watch, pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I may trade you after that one. That was do I have a cricket noise? I got DMX. Here we
go. We should just have a show with Juggles and DMX.
Juggles, just Juggles talking to DMX the whole show. I like it. I think that could be a good show. We'll do like a spinoff, Like how everything has a spin-off now. We'll do like a spin-off Monday Night Rants, but it'll be Monday Night Clowning with Juggles and DMX. Yeah. DMX says to that. That's right. Juggles versus DMX. I like how Juggles is now a thing. That's pretty funny. But then shout out to everybody, though, who knew why that the clown was on the show and what it meant, and everyone who said they appreciated that I actually went through with it. And that I got mad props for it being an actual legit costume. I mean, Juggles has a legit costume. He didn't just go buy that thing at a spirit shop on the clearance aisle. That thing took preparation, and everything. And he's even learning magic tricks too. So there's that too. Oh, okay. So Aaron Rodgers came back. The 49ers props to them. Much props to them. They all, they showed up. Everyone except Alfred Morris. They all showed up and they played a great game in Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra, and they gave it to them. But man, Aaron Rodgers, like we said, just at the end is just unstoppable. Apparently, you don't want to just cover Devontae Adams. I guess what it came down to, because he was uncoverable in that second half. It was ridiculous. Like, why wasn't Sherman on him either? They were like moving him off of him. Sherman covered him once, got a penalty for holding him, took him off of him, and then boom, 2 straight plays on the sideline, out of bounds, field goal. Good night, 49ers. You're 1-5. That's pretty much how that game went, to be honest. And Robbie Gould, for being old, still can make field goals. That's shout out to him.
Shout out to the kickers out there, the 40-year-olds still kicking.
Yep, all 5 of them. Jesus. Can't find anyone in their 20s that can kick. But those old guys, man, they can still do it. Still bring it strong. It's amazing. The Chargers are already on their 3rd kicker. What's new? But yeah, it's been a rough year for kickers and kicking injuries. It's been kind of weird. But overall, like I said, great football weekend in football. I'm not even going to talk about the Thursday night game. I think we're kind of over that. The Giants suck. Eli Manning sucks. Odell Beckham is a baby. And the Eagles are who we thought they were. And they played a great game. And nobody on that Giants team decided they wanted to play not named Saquon Barkley. And you know what? I'm not going to say I was wrong about Saquon Barkley, because I never said he wasn't talented. I never said that he wasn't a great player. But I just wouldn't take him first round or 6th or wherever he was going. I just wouldn't, because you've been burned by so many first-round running backs so many times that, the Ryan Matthews of the world and these other ones, that I just wouldn't do it. I'd rather have Melvin Gordon at 6, and we see how that would have played out. But then again, I would have probably taken Leonard Fournette over him as well. So we saw how that one played out too. But so ultimately, kudos to Barkley for going out there and putting on a show. Imagine if it was still Wayne Gallman and they didn't draft Barkley. How bad that game would have been on Thursday. Holy cow.
That would have been rough. But, looking at hindsight now, if you're the GM for the Giants, Edward, do you regret not taking a quarterback at number 2, as bad as Eli's playing right now?
Well, no, because now you can have Barkley and Justin Herbert.
Here we go. Setting it up for next year.
I mean, Justin Herbert's just as good as, if not better, more NFL ready than any of those quarterbacks that went in the first round this year. So, yay, it could work out for them. But Jesus Christ, that was terrible. So we're going to move on from that. I think I'm not going to hit all the games. I'm not going to talk about the Baltimore-Tennessee game. No one cares. Tennessee's garbage. That was garbage. But I will say kudos to Baltimore on their 11 sacks in the shutout. That is insane. Like, what else can Mariota do? Nothing, apparently, because his offensive line is garbage, and that's why their running game is nowhere to be found this year. So that was we're not going to mention that game any more than we already did. I don't want to mention the Seahawks-Raider game. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, let's move forward.
Yeah.
Move forward. Pass on that one.
And then, so we're pretty much going to talk about the close games, the good games, the games that mattered. So I don't want to talk about Dallas-Jacksonville either. That was the Jacksonville defense has been beat up, or not beat up, but getting lit up the last couple weeks. And if that defense doesn't play well, then there's no hope for there on that team, because their offense is absolutely, and I mean with sincereness, as sincere as I can be, freaking garbage. Blake Bortles is like one out of every 4 games he performs. No Fournette. TJ Yeldon's doing all he can. Their receivers are all just mediocre receivers. They lost ASJ. They got O'Shannery or whatever his name is, and that was just a terrible performance. So we're not going to mention those games, because you can go back on NFL.com and watch all the shortened versions if you really want to see Marcus Mariota running for his life for an hour. It's quite fun. The game that surprised me the most, I think, and probably surprised everyone, the Buffalo-Minnesota game of the weekend, was the Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. That's right. I was one of those fools that picked up the Bears defense in all DFS and everywhere thinking, man, this can't. And then they announced that Brock Osweiler, yes, that Brock Osweiler, was going to be coming in for Ryan Tannehill, and I was licking my chops. I was ready to go, and my defense getting 22 FanDuel points. And what happens? What happens, Anthony, when you do that every time?
You get played.
Yes, we got played. They're not who we thought they were. And Brock Osweiler and Albert Wilson went out there and put up a triple-double on the Bears defense, the almighty Khalil Mack. And it was a fun game, though. But, man, Brock Osweiler, really, what'd you take away from that game?
It's weird. Like you said, Brock Osweiler goes in there. Frank Gore, the guy that never ages, goes out, rushes for over 100 yards. Albert Wilson comes out of nowhere and, catches 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. It kind of goes back to, like, you said with the whole Jaguars and the Cowboys game. Any given Sunday, Miami's home team, and now they're sitting at 4-2. They're 4-2 at this point in the NFL season. Like,
they are.
It's nuts. And now Chicago, who looked like they probably could have took over their division in the NFC, now are sitting at 3-2, and they're kind of reeling a little bit. When you don't have that dominant quarterback like some of these other teams, like the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and you rely heavily on your defense. If your defense is exposed, it looks funky. It looks bad.
I mean, Trubisky had a really solid game again. He did 316, 3 touchdowns, one interception. I think the problem with Chicago this year really is their running game is non-existent. Jordan Howard is not Jordan Howard. I mean, he hasn't really done much, to be honest. Last year, he was a top 5 in rushing yards by the end of the year, and he's not even going to come close to that the way it stands now. And we're, week 6 in the season? That could be the issue. Even when they're up in games, they don't run the ball well. Like last week, or no, they had a bye, but the week before that. I mean, it's just crazy. So you're right, though. And like with Jacksonville, defense doesn't always win nowadays, especially we have more touchdowns thrown at this point in a season than any other season, more touchdowns than any other season in the history of the NFL. And, defense is just, you got to have the offense to match the defense nowadays, and that goes to show it. But kudos to Brock Osweiler. And
kudos to Brock Osweiler. That sounds funny to say it.
Kudos to Brock Osweiler. That was his biggest game of his career. May we never hear from him again. At least I hope not. Kenyon Drake, 13 carries, though, for Kenyon Drake. But only 57 yards when Frank Gore goes off for 100. I mean, Jesus. Kenyon Drake just can't catch a break with his coaches. Like I've said before, like I'll always say, he'll never be a true number 1, ever. And, if it wasn't for Albert Wilson just running wild in the secondary and not being able to be tackled, he looked like he was playing flag football out there with everybody. It was crazy. So, good game. Both teams are now, 4-2?
Bears are at 3-2 now.
Oh, because they had to bye 3-2. Whew.
Yeah.
Whew. Another good game was the Buffalo Bills have been playing in some good games recently. The Houston Texans and the Buffalo Bills. Our boy Allen looks like MCL or in his knee or elbow, or I think his elbow. He's not looking good. He honestly wasn't looking good before that, anyways. But he is going to be miss about 4 weeks. I mean, there's no reason to rush him if you're in Buffalo.
No, yeah, I think it's an elbow injury. They're kind of calling it week to week, but like you said, he hasn't been playing that good. He's been struggling. But then again, you go from Josh Allen to the old faithful
Nathan Peterman.
He
only threw 2 interceptions.
Well, that's good.
In 12 attempts.
He's had worse games, obviously. We know that.
Yes, against the Chargers, yes.
One
thing I took from this game, though, is that Deshaun Watson was able to win a grinded-out game without having to put up gaudy numbers. I think that's kudos to that. I think J.J. Watt's now tied in the league with sacks. So as long as he stays healthy, he is still a beast. So, great game there. Overall, I think a pick 6 sealed it for Houston. Awesome. Now that you have that 3-way tie for first place in the AFC South with, believe it or not, the Colts not that far behind. They're there's still hope for there, Anthony.
It's funny. Like, that's what I'm saying. If you look at the standings right now, outside of maybe a handful of divisions, everybody's still in it. It's still early, but yeah, the Bills are only a game and a half back. It's the Colts at 1-5 are still in it.
That's true. And they have the offense that could stay in it too, especially if Jacksonville defense keeps on sucking. I don't want to really mention this game either, but the Chargers and the Browns, the Chargers just gave it to them. It was over by half. Melvin Gordon, 3 touchdowns, just your typical bludgeoning of the Cleveland Browns. The old Cleveland Browns is what they look like in this one at home. And maybe the Chargers are better than we all think they are. Their 2 losses are to Kansas City and the Rams, and the other teams that they played, they've beat them pretty nicely. So perhaps maybe they have the offense and the defense to maybe make my prediction come true.
No, exactly. You're talking about early in the season. They're stacked talent-wise. You're talking about offensive, defensive. They have playmakers all over the place, and Rivers he's always going to give you the great opportunity to win the game. Melvin Gordon has been probably one of the top players in fantasy this year. Just a beast the last 6 weeks. And, yeah, I hate giving the props to the Chargers, but if the Chiefs stumble, which, with a guy like Mahomes back, their young guy, they're only one game back from right now.
Yep.
And they're getting all the praise. Everybody's praising them. Your favorite quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Love him.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He's the MVP of the next 4 seasons, remember? He's already a 3-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about it a little more, too, later on.
Probably. I'm sure he's in the There Is Hope for their poll. Once again, he probably won all 1,200 people that voted or whatever. Jesus. Probably by like 60%. That's how it normally goes, right?
He won by 150%.
150%, yeah. And he wasn't even in the poll. It's crazy. Carolina, Washington. Washington's in first place at 3-2 in the NFC East, and that's another division that's interesting. Alex Smith just does Alex Smith things, and he did it again. And Torrey Smith is apparently a thing again. That's what I got from this game. And the Redskins are the Redskins. They're gonna be. I peg them as like one of those 8-8 type of teams, and. If everyone else goes 7-9, they're in the playoffs.
8 is greater than 7.
That's true. That's a good point. So not really that great of a game, but interesting to watch. Capri Bibbs, who filled in for Chris Thompson, is garbage. So Chris Thompson can't come back faster. Just make him better. But 2 interceptions, 163 for Alex Smith, 1 to a tight end, the other one to Paul Richardson. I mean, geez, that's as Alex Smith as you could possibly get. And Cam Newton just, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception, only 275. But that defense for Washington is not that bad, so they could surprise some people this year.
Oh yeah, because Alex Smith will, at least for the most part, will never lose a game for his team. And so as long as that defense keeps playing well. This could be the NFC East champions. Like it seems like every other year the NFC East either produces a top quality team or it's an 8-8 finisher to win the division. And this is probably looking like one of those years.
Yeah, very true. Very easy. That and the AFC South. Going on to the AFC North, what a game this was, though. Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought this was in the bag for Cincinnati, and then Antonio Brown says, "No, here, hold my beer." And I thought the play when I looked at it was a legal block downfield, but when you look at it, it's actually kind of legal. And I guess you could take it either way, but technically it's a legal play, but it's really close. But Tyler Boyd continues to be Tyler Boyd, and just a great fantasy sleeper this year. He's now a wide receiver too. Maybe even
every
one
week
for people. Yeah, every week. So kudos to Tyler Boyd and Andy Dalton just putting up numbers still. I think this is pretty much your top 2 teams in that division when it's all said and done. And I don't think Baltimore has the stamina to keep it up. They're not going to sack, 11 times every game, and their offense still didn't even look that great against Tennessee. So I think it's going to be those two teams, and then the other two teams will come out of the AFC West, and then you'll have, you know, the Patriots, of course, and the who am I missing? Oh, whoever wins that scramble in the AFC South.
Right. It could be the Colts at the end of the year.
It could be the Colts, yeah.
No, but I got to know, Edward, you know, because you got a lot of favorites on this show. You know, obviously Patrick Mahomes is one of them. You love talking about him. You know, you get all giddy.
I do.
Like a schoolgirl. But Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh's coming up on a bye. Word is he's coming back afterwards. As a fantasy owner, if you have him right now at this point, what are you trying to do with him? Are you trying to sell him? Are you just going to keep him? Are you what are you doing right now with him?
I'm selling him. Here's why I'm selling him. A, he didn't report today like everyone said he was going to do, and he didn't even tell anybody. No one's even heard from him. B, even if he does come back, and he's been bitching about his usage rate and everything and wear and tear on his body, what's stopping Pittsburgh from using a dual back system with Connor getting just as many touches as Bell for the rest of the year, knowing that Bell's not coming back to Pittsburgh next year, and Connor will be the guy. He could easily become, if he doesn't get traded on a sign and trade, a shared backfield really quick. I think Connor has earned the right to eat into his touches. So he's not even going to be a true workhorse the rest of the year. So I would trade him right now before people even realize that, thinking that he's coming back during the bye week. Trade him. You know, trade him right now. Get some, you know, serviceable. You know, look for players who have already had a bye. Trade for that, so you know you have them the rest of the year. Look for, you know, number 1 receivers or number 2 receivers out there, or, you know, try to get a running back like Breda, who's been solid every week. Every week he's over 10 points, except for week 1. Get someone like that and pair him up with a wide receiver 3 that could be helpful down the stretch. Get rid of the guy. You don't need him. You can win without him. You don't need him. I say you trade him now and don't keep him.
What if your team's undefeated or 5-1 right now? Do you try to go after him and get him?
No. Because who are you going to get rid of? Someone that's got you to 5-1 for someone who could end up being in a shared backfield with Connor? No, not a chance. Not a chance. They don't like him. They don't like him. No one likes him there anymore in Pittsburgh. The fans don't like him anymore. They're cheering Connor's name. Fans don't like him. His offensive linemen don't like him. Nobody likes him. So I just don't see a scenario where he ends up getting you 20 points a game for your fantasy team from whenever he comes back for 6 weeks. It's just not going to happen. So I say just move on from him. Trade him right now before people realize that. And when it starts happening, everyone's going to be like, oh, man, Connor got 13 touches and Le'Veon Bell only got 15. Told you so. Told you so. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. A good game. And the Atlanta Falcons defense is so banged up, so hurt. They are just bad. Bad. They're 2-4, sitting at the bottom of that division, be it only a few games out, because it's still young and all that, and 2-4 isn't as bad as some of the other teams there are around there. But, man, if they don't get that defense together, they're going to be in shootouts every game, and it's great for your fantasy players, but terrible for, you know, their shots at making the playoffs again. So, you know, you let Jameis Winston almost come back and win that game. I mean, they had a chance to win the game at the end of it. So it was pretty bad, to be honest, and they've been pretty bad. So I'm really worried about the Falcons. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they will.
Hey, over-under right now, Julio Jones, 3 touchdowns this year. He got 3 last year. He's at 0 right now. Over-under.
The only issue I have with that is they've tried to force him the ball in the red zone so many times not working. Look at last year when they lost in the playoffs. The same way, try to force him the ball, no touchdown. Mm-hmm. Game 1 this year, try to force him the ball, no touchdown. He's starting to find Austin Hooper, Mohamed Sanu, Calvin Ridley, all these other guys Calvin Ridley is strictly touchdown dependent because they're looking other ways in the red zone and realizing, hey, we can score touchdowns throwing it to somebody else. I really think that's how they're going to go. I mean, he can get 3 touchdowns from long plays easily, but I think he's not a red zone guy the rest of the year. He's not. I think they finally realized, hey, if he's going to get double teamed all the time, let's not force him the ball. So I say over, maybe 4. But yeah, it's rough. But he's still going to have the catches and the yards, though. Let's not be crazy.
It's just unreal for me to see a guy that talented, 6'3", big body, and he's 6 in fantasy football right now in PPR among receivers. No touchdowns. It blows my mind. I can't believe it.
Crazy. Well, when you realize, hey, we can throw the ball elsewhere and get touchdowns, they're going to do that. They got other weapons on that team. And that's exactly what they did. Speaking of the Indianapolis Colts, they went on and lost to the New York Jets in what was a pretty good game, back and forth. The New York Jets defense, though, was a little bit too much for Andrew Luck to handle. 3 interceptions for Andrew Luck, but he had 4 touchdowns and 301 passing. Your typical Andrew Luck day. Sam Darnold, though, had a really great game if you look at it. His throws were precise. He was getting the ball out to multiple receivers. He wasn't just targeting Inouye every time. He did also get hurt and I think left the game. But he was hitting Anderson. He was hitting Herndon. He was hitting Pryor, Curse, everybody. I think that's what he's going to have to do in order to be successful this year, too, is not just lock in on somebody. He's going to have to spread it around. And since he's been starting to do that more, he's been playing better. So I don't think they're a playoff team, but and, he's probably not going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year with what Barkley's doing, but he's looking better and better each week, more so than the other quarterbacks, if you ask me.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
And can Indianapolis just get T.Y. Hilton back already and Jack Doyle? If they get those 2 guys back, they're going to have a shot here, especially in that division. But, man, without them, and you got Chester Rogers and Ryan Grants and guys I've never even heard of catching balls, I'm like, who is this guy?
Marcus Johnson?
Yeah. Who Marcus Johnson of the famous Johnson family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know who that guy is.
Yeah. It's just is nuts. Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. 27-17 Vikings. Kirk Cousins just did enough, I guess, if you want to say it that way. But the big story here is Adam Thielen, again. Was it 6 straight weeks? Over 100 yards, and it's only one person in the Super Bowl era has done it 7 times, and that was from like the 60s, and he's somebody I've never heard of. But he has a chance to do it next week, and I think he will. I mean, death, taxes, and Adam Thielen catching 100 yards in football, I think is now how that goes. Is that how that goes?
I think so. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah. Kudos to Latavius Murray for finally not sucking. 24 carries, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Only 1 reception, though, which is, but I guess you don't really need those when you run for 150. And that wasn't even one of the big running back outputs of the game, or of the day, really, which is crazy. And Minnesota, they're still trying to stay atop or near the top of that division, which is now a jumbled mess in its own right. So Arizona, Josh Rosen, each week, he has a connection with Christian Kirk. 6 for 77, leading all receivers. Larry Fitzgerald, 5 for 39. Christian Kirk is the guy you want. Going forward, you could feel free to get rid of Fitzgerald at this point, which saddens my heart, to be honest.
It's going to be okay, Edward. It's going to be okay, bud.
I love the guy. He's a good guy. He's a great receiver. He's been doing it for so long.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, I've never been a big fan of Larry, but for the last 3 years outside of this year, the guy was clutch, over 100 yards or 100 receptions every year. And this year, Father Time has finally caught up, and new quarterback, just jumbled up offense, have finally caught up to Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, you want to talk about bad rushing defenses? The Denver Broncos have a very, very bad rushing defense.
Unreal.
It's not good, and which is surprising me. many weeks because, you got Bradley Chubb, who's been playing pretty good, but he's more of a rushing linebacker. And, they look old and gassed out there. They had a good lead against the Chiefs. They let that get away. And, I don't think it's Case Keenum as much as it's that defense. They're not that, Denver Broncos stout defense that we've come accustomed to over the years. They're just bad.
Well, they have all speed rushers. Right now, they're all edge. Von Miller's a speed rusher guy that comes on third down. Bradley Chubb. And when you don't have anybody plugging that mirror, Derek Wolfe has not had the same kind of season impact he's had years past at the, inside. Mm-hmm. And you get a guy, be that may, it was Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley has just destroyed everybody in sight this year. But still, when you think of Denver, you think of a strong defense. They haven't had it. And, Case Keenum's been playing well. Some of the you're really big on. Emmanuel Sanders had another phenomenal game. You got to win those games at home, especially in a tough AFC West outside of the Raiders. That's a game they have to win.
I mean, people are pulling for Case Keenum's head, but he hasn't played bad.
No.
He's been playing decent. I mean, typical Case Keenum, 322 and 2 touchdowns against the Rams defense. Yeah, they're missing some key defensive players to injuries, especially in that defensive backfield, but Todd Gurley rushing for 208 and 2 touchdowns, no one can survive that. You're going to lose to the Rams every time.
Oh, for sure.
And that's with Cooper Kupp going out with an injury again. I thought his season was over. He's getting carted off, and next thing you know, he's back in there. But it looks like they'll probably be precautionary for him probably for the next 2 weeks or so. Give him some rest. They don't need him out there. They're just the most dominating team in football right now. It's crazy. And even Goff had a terrible day. It's like Goff's bad, 201 and 1 interception, but Gurley goes for 208 and 2 touchdowns. It's just insane. And Phillip Lindsay continues to outtouch Royce Freeman.
Unreal. Unreal. But, and it sucks because I think kind of like Kenyon Drake, Royce Freeman, he looks good out there. He's running the ball hard. It's not like he's not playing well. Kenyon Drake, the same thing. He looks well when he's running the ball. But for whatever reason, these coaches get paid the big bucks to make these decisions. They go out and give it to, these other guys. It's weird to see that.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, the same thing happened tonight. Where was Alfred Morris in this game?
He was on a milk carton. Somewhere.
Yeah, he was definitely. He's on a milk carton right now. He was nowhere to be found. It was Raheem Mostert.
Oh, that guy. I like him. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's only played for every team's practice squad until tonight. But
That's solid.
1-2 punch was pretty nice, though.
Plan.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, it almost worked out for them. They just quite needed a little bit bigger lead on Aaron Rodgers there. You got to have at least a 21-point lead on Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter, or else you're screwed. That's for sure. The big game of the week was last night, of course, the game everyone's been talking about. The Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. Is this the AFC Championship preview?
It's pretty close. These guys look every bit of two firehouse offenses just striking all cylinders. Somebody I hate to mention, some running back for the Patriots played well once again.
Oh yeah,
some no-name guy.
His name is he's named after a television company. Oh, Sony Michel. Is that it? Sony Michel?
I don't think that's him.
No, okay. Oh, by the way, when are you going to wear my Chargers jersey and take pictures and post it everywhere?
Oh my gosh!
Everyone wants to know. The world is asking. When is that going to happen?
It's going to happen pretty soon. You know what? Juggles came on the show. He paid his bet, his consequence for the thing. I am, for everybody who's not aware, me and Edward had a bet for, it sounds horrible and silly now, but for Jay Ajayi, Sonny Michel, who would have the most points PPR at the end of the year. And after 5 weeks, Edward is the winner. So I have to wear... No.
I like winning.
You know what? You win. I gotta stop making these bets with you, man, because I never win. I don't know why I keep doing it. It's horrible.
Yeah, but some people just love betting. They're addicted to it. They have
right.
They actually have like programs for that to help you. Stop.
Hi, I'm Anthony, and I have a problem.
I have a problem making bets on players. For no money.
So no money, just these pride bets. So I got to put on a Phillip Rivers jersey and a Chargers hat and change all my profiles and all my social media outlets for a week and have that on there. So it's going to be bad. Please be nice, guys. Please be nice.
Yep, and can't wait to see that. I'm going to be forwarding and sharing and commenting and taking screenshots, putting them on the homepage, the website, everywhere. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be everywhere.
I need DMX. Where's DMX? Give me something from DMX.
I'm always down for the one-on-one.
He's always there for you, buddy. Anytime you need a hand, just call upon DMX. He'll help you out.
DMX, oh my God. But this was a great game by the Chiefs and Patriots. Shootout. Patrick Mahomes, your favorite guy, came out and slinging the ball, threw for 20 touchdowns again. So
if it wasn't for Tyreek Hill, he'd have like half the amount of touchdowns, or 6 less than he has. Those 2 touchdowns to Tyreek Hill last night. One of them, he was wide open. He just had to get the ball to him, and then he did the rest. And the other one, he actually overthrew Kareem Hunt so badly on the out route, and Tyreek Hill saved him by having to come back and grab the ball before he threw it out of bounds. If you rewatch that play, he was actually trying to throw the ball to Kareem Hunt. He missed Kareem Hunt over his head, and Tyreek Hill ran and caught the ball in the end zone. I kid you not. So, yeah, kudos to Tyreek Hill for making Pat Mahomes better than he really is. And by the way, those 2 interceptions he threw, or one of them in the first half, was a garbage, terrible throw. So, still, the playmakers around him make him look better than he really is. But I guess that's how you do well in the NFL, is being around better players, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Stack them around talent.
Yes. Julian Edelman caught a touchdown. He's back. And, Chris Hogan, he's on the same milk carton. I think that, he went for 4 for 78, but I think that's his ceiling per game kind of the rest of the year, especially when you have Gordon now more accustomed with the offense and 9 targets, team high 9 targets for Josh Gordon. He's going to be a starter, or a wide receiver 3, or flex the rest of the way, maybe even more as the season goes on. So,
yeah, I think those wide receivers have become the new Patriots backfield. They have so many guys there.
Yeah. Good
Gronk,
point.
Hogan, Edelman, James White in the backfield, Josh Gordon, Cordell Patterson still catching passes. It's nuts.
Yeah, James White, quiet night, but still 13 points in PPR. Jason McIntyre wants to talk about the Raiders. We already did. We said we weren't going to mention that game because it's Halloween and the fans in UK got a scary movie to watch, and it was that game. It was a horror. It was a horror show.
What does McIntyre want to know? What does McIntyre want to know?
He said, "Want to talk about Gruden now? How about them Raiders?" And the Raiders suck no matter what continent they're on.
It's bad. You know what? I just want everybody to know what these Oakland Raiders are doing right now. This is a full loaded rebuild right now. Gruden, Chucky, this is what he did. This is why he got traded to Tampa the first time. It's his way or the highway. He wants his guys in there, and if you're not on board, if you're not playing up to his standards, you're gonna get traded. It's gonna start happening.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. When's the trade deadline? Is it coming up?
It's I think the last day of October is what it is.
Look for a few more Raiders to be moved by that. Ooh, let's see what they got here. They got they get the Colts at home. That won't be terrible, right? After their bye week, so that's good. Then they get the 49ers, who, they show their game. And then they get the Chargers. And then the Cardinals. And then the Ravens. Then the Chiefs. Then the Steelers, Bengals, Broncos, and Chiefs. So, over and under 3 wins.
Oh, man. That's...
Maybe they'll end up with Justin Herbert.
It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle between us and the Giants for the next quarterback of the future.
That's it. Going over the standings now that after this week. Patriots 4-2 with the Dolphins 4-2, 3-3 Jets. They're only one game out, which is crazy, and the Buffalo Bills surprising everyone at 2-4, which is weird to say. 5-1 Chiefs. The Chargers only one game out now, 4-2. Broncos now fall to 2-4, and the Raiders at 1-5, like we just said, trying to get that first overall pick. Bengals 4-2, and the Ravens 4-2. Steelers 3-2-1, and the Browns fall to 2-3-1. And the AFC South, which is just awful, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3 between the Jags, the Texans, and the Titans, and the Colts 1-5. Only 2 games out. NFC East 2 kind of jumbled. Redskins at 3-2, Cowboys at 3-3, Eagles at 3-3, and the Giants, well, they have a long year ahead of them, 1-5. Rams 6-0. You could just crown them the division champions. Seahawks at 3-3, Cardinals 1-5. 49ers now fall to 1-5 with that awful loss tonight. They were playing so well too. Bears 3-2, Packers 3-2-1, Vikings 3-2-1, Lions 2-3. Anyone's division there as well. And the Saints at 4-1 coming off their bye week at 3-2 Panthers, 2-3 Bucks, and the Falcons at 2-4. So that's after week 6 where we have it now. We still have 11 more weeks to go. So it's still kind of anyone's type of game here. Everyone except the Raiders and the Cardinals and the Giants.
Stop sticking that knife deeper and deeper, man. Jeez Louise.
I do want to tell everybody that next Monday we're going to be doing things a little bit different. We're switching up kind of the format in a way. We're not going to be going over every game, one game at a time. We're just going to be doing different segments. Like we'll do like our most surprising teams of the week and our disappointments of the week. I want to get back to doing waiver wire pickups for you fantasy players out there, asking and answering more fantasy questions. And then next week we're going to do a NBA preview. Yes, I know it starts tomorrow, but we're going to do it next Monday. We're going to preview the season, kind of who we project will be in the conference finals and MVP and all that, which is going to be no surprise to anyone. It's probably going to be Golden State and the Celtics all the way around. So we'll have that next week. And also, guys, this weekend, look for it on Friday, sometime on Friday, the new podcast from the evil minds who brought you Monday Night Rants comes. A new podcast from Edward Rouse and Anthony Zaragoza called Entrust We Sports. That's right. It's a 1-hour podcast every week. It's going to be Anthony and myself. We can bring on guests, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be more of a entertaining comedy type sports podcast. We're just not going to sit there and be like, this player did this player has this many yards, and all that boring stuff that you hear every week when you put on those podcasts. Ours is going to be different. It's going to be a lot of fun. So this week, yeah, we're going to record it on Thursday. So this week, look forward this weekend, it's Entrust We Sports, and it's going to be EntrustWeSports.com, SoundCloud.com/EntrustWeSports. I saw a Twitter already floating around out there too. It's at Entrust We Sports.
Yes, sir.
At Entrust We Sports. I'm sure there'll be a Facebook page as well, and it's going to be on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, you name the podcast platform, it's going to be on it. So it's going to be everywhere. So feel free to ask us questions during the week. If you have any on Twitter, ask us a question. We'll answer it on the podcast. And it's not going to be live. We're just going to record it, and we're going to put it out there for all of you, and just kind of build this platform even more. So looking forward to that, Anthony. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to get weird.
Oh, yeah. Weird. And, I think Juggles may make an appearance on the podcast, too.
Oh, good old Juggles, man.
Good old Jugs.
And if anybody's looking for any kind of clowns for their kids' shows, Juggles is available this winter.
Yep.
So
it's 1-800-I-LOVE-JUGS. But that's
No.
love, but it's love LUV. So 1-800-I-LUV-JUGS, double G's. And you can get a hold of our good old friend Juggles, who was on the show last week, and he'd be more than happy to come out to your kid's party and do some magic tricks. Man, this is too much fun. All right, speaking of fun, I hear there was another poll this week, Anthony. Was there a...
If someone marries me,
Interesting defense
There's
pick. I
hope
like it.
for there.
Was there a poll this week?
Oh, you know it, man. Every Monday we got it out, ready to go.
Oh, nice. And let me guess, Patrick Mahomes was in it, and he was the number one overall person in the poll again.
Without a doubt, yeah. He's number one every week.
Was the poll the first player to ever win the Hall of Fame 2 times? Because then I could see him winning that one.
And the Nobel Prize the same year, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's won the MVP in the National Football League and the National Moon League on the moon, too.
And he was a Cy Young winner this year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did win the Cy Young in the AL, huh?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Rocket arm over there.
How this guy didn't win the Heisman Trophy, I have no idea.
I always knew college was corrupt.
Yep,
and this is
that was it.
This proves it right here.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes didn't win it.
Yep. So what was the poll this week?
All right, so this was a monster week. We talked about, some of these guys who had some really big weeks. Devontae Adams had a monster week. I know he won you a couple matchups tonight.
Yes, he did.
So what I wanted to know, 6 weeks, pretty good sample size for the season. I wanted to ask the Twitter world, after 6 weeks, from these 4 choices, who is your MVP of fantasy football?
Ooh, I like it.
We got some good results. We almost had 1,000 votes.
Nice.
So it's a really good sample size. And we had 4 choices. I looked through all the stats, calculated, see who was number one in these, and touchdowns, receptions, and whatnot. And these 4 guys stood out. They stood out like, glowing lights. So from the wide receivers, Mr. Division II college, Mr. Made the practice team for Minnesota and defied all odds and is the number 1 receiver in PPR, Mr. Adam, I got a Thielen.
I got a feeling. Okay, what are the other choices?
And then the 2 top running backs so far, Mr. Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon, your boy over there in Los Angeles. And then I'm thinking, who could I have for my 4th choice? What quarterback is just lighting the world on fire?
Oh, I know the answer to this question. Derek Carr.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, hell no!
Let me guess. It's Patty Mahomes.
Number 1 quarterback in fantasy football right now, Patrick, Edward's best friend, Mahomes.
Okay, so let's get into this. The results.
If someone marries me,
Interesting defense
there's
pick. I
hope
like it.
for there.
There's hope for there, but every time we have Pat Mahomes in one of these polls, there's never any hope for there because he's always number 1 at like 150%. So, number 4 has to be, I'm going to say Todd Gurley.
Ooh, surprisingly, for the first time ever, this is the first thing that he's ever lost. Patrick Mahomes comes in at 13%.
At 4? Oh, there is hope for there. Wow. Okay. Thank you, people. Finally starting to see what I see. I like it. Although he's put up a lot of fantasy points, I'm not going to lie. But as a quarterback in the NFL, he's still overrated in my eyes. Like I said, it's the people around him that make him better than he actually is. If it wasn't for Tyreek Hill, he wouldn't have had 2 touchdowns just last night. Okay, coming in at number 3, I'm gonna say now I'm starting to believe these people know what they're talking about. This is not just 10 people. This is 1,000. So I'm gonna say I'm going with Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen, you need to step your game up, Edward.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong again.
Yes, you're wrong again. Number 3rd at 19%, so almost a 5th. Melvin Gordon, yourself, your buddy.
Oh, come on. He should be number 1 on this list. He's a 1 or 2 overall pick production numbers that you got at like 10th. Jeez. I bet every Le'Veon Bell owner and David Johnson owner wishes they had Melvin Gordon on their team right now. That's for sure.
Without a doubt. Melvin Gordon's been a beast. He has, I think, 9 touchdowns so far, so that's just crazy.
But then you could say that all of the Odell Beckham Jr. owners wish they had Adam Thielen on their team too. So it kind of goes both ways, I guess.
Both ways.
All right, so number 3 is going to be Gurley.
It is your I got a Thielen.
I got a Thielen. Adam Thielen at number 3.
Adam Thielen at
number
two.
Number 2.
Yep, number 2 with 21%. So just edged Gordon by 2%.
You know what? I think they're both. That's good for both of them, which means Gurley is obviously going to be number 1, right?
Exactly, and I think a lot of the comments I got on Twitter, some people were looking at value-wise. Obviously from these guys, Patrick Mahomes was probably one of the later guys, but quarterbacks aren't valued that much in fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Thielen, you probably got him early, middle, third round.
Yeah.
So to get him there, I think that's probably why he had more votes than Gordon, because Gordon was going late first, early second. So value-wise, Adam probably gave you more bang for your buck.
Definitely. But you know what? I can see it either way. I mean, if anything, when was the last time a number 1 pick in fantasy drafts ended up being, as good as advertised? Last year, David Johnson. The year before that, Antonio Brown. These guys have never really lived up to the potential of the number 1, but Gurley is by far the number. Not only do I think he's the best football player, probably in the NFL offensively, that's not a quarterback, I think he is the best fantasy player as well. And so he's actually, as God forbid he gets hurt, he is a beast. And it just showed it again. I mean, he just makes holes bigger than they really are. He's so much fun to watch. Him and Melvin Gordon, both of them were slashing around people, cutting, like not even getting touched when most running backs would run right into the guy, It's very, very pretty to watch. Saquon Barkley is also pretty to watch, too, because he's the closest thing to like Barry Sanders or Walter Payton I've ever seen in the way he moves on the field. His cuts, the way he breaks tackles, goes through tackles, kind of like what Marshawn Lynch used to do before he got old. But when you watch Gurley and Gordon run, they don't get touched a lot, and it's their cuts and what they're doing before they get to the running back, and that's the big difference there. So they've all been fun to watch, all 4 of those guys. Yes, Mahomes is still fun to watch. It's exciting. I think Tyreek Hill is more fun to watch because he's the one actually making the plays after he receives the ball or after Mahomes severely misses Kareem Hunt in the end zone and Tyreek Hill has to come back for the football to get the touchdown. So thank you, Anthony. That was fun.
If someone marries me,
interesting defensive
there's
pick.
hope
I like it.
for there.
That's nice. I think in honor of our basketball show next week, maybe this week's There's Hope for Their poll could be basketball oriented.
Ooh,
switching
nice
it up a little bit.
there.
Nice little curveball, going nice 12-6 going down. And make you swing over the top. Hopefully, maybe what team. I don't want to say what team because everyone's and their mom is going to pick the Golden State Warriors. What about surprise playoff team maybe? Or surprise players, or which player do you think is going to be the best, or which recently player on a new team is going to be the best, or just have fun. Let's do NBA. Let's get in full court mode.
Hey, let's kind of wild card it right there. Let's get a little fun.
Yeah, we're gonna get fun next week. We're going to go NBA, and we're gonna find something to do. Also, thank you everyone. I know we get over 1,000 plus of these now each week. It's awesome. Thank you guys. Hope you're enjoying it. And we're also on the podcast. We'll be finding a way to get you guys involved as well. But it'll be, just as fun, but it'll be, I don't want to, do the same thing, but we'll do something just fun, maybe out there, something different. I want to do something that not every single person does, because there's so many podcasts out there about sports and fantasy, and I try to listen to them, and they're all the same. It's just numbers and numbers and numbers and numbers. So everyone forgets it's not always about winning. It's about how much fun it is, the fun aspect of it, getting with your friends. That's why I hate these online drafts where everyone's sitting at home or on their phone. I like when everybody is there for the draft, drinking beer, eating pizza, smack talking each other. That's the best part about it. And that's what I'm trying to bring, is that family, fun, friend, fun thing around fantasy and sports. Not just fantasy, but just sports in general. Going to your friend's house and watching the game. Now everyone just sits at home and watches Red Zone and texts each other. I want it to be like, I'm trying to bring that whole old school feel back to it. And that's what I'm trying to do with this show, and also in Trust We Sports. Coming to you weekly from the minds of Monday Night Rants. How do you feel about that, Anthony?
You're pumping me up, man. I feel like crying right now, man. That was like a whole PSA announcement.
Yeah.
Let's get back to talking, because you know what? I know you know for sure, but every draft that I've been involved with you has just been a blast.
Yeah, we have too much fun.
Yeah, I feel bad for my wife because she has to see the aftermath at the end of it. But it's anytime Edward Fantasy League of whatever kind, it's going to be a blast. And that's what, like you said, that's old school. That's what it's about. Just having fun and being amongst your I just came back from Mexico. Your good amigos.
Oh, amigos.
So,
See, that's about all you get from me there.
that was almost like Irish, right?
Yeah, I'm Welsh. So there you go. There's my
There
Welsh,
is the
my Welsh
European-
Mexican accent. That's even a thing. I don't even know.
Welsh Mexican. What a combo.
If you are a Welsh Mexican, please call the show. I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, all two of you in the world.
Yeah, both of you.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, yeah. So we're trying to bring that back, and if you're the person that you're going to tell me, let's just all do it online, it's just faster, get it done faster. You know what? Go F yourself. That's not what it's about. Just getting it done as fast as you can, and just because you want to get it over with, don't be in my league. I don't want it. It's about the camaraderie, the feel of sport, the being around each other and having a good time. And it's not just about getting it done as fast as you can so you can go on and do your thing. Then you're not into it. This isn't for you. So there you go. That's my rant, I guess, is just too many drafts and too many things are just online and automated and not as much fun as they used to be.
Give yourself a round of applause.
So let's bring back the fun to draft.
Hell yeah!
That's right. All right, everyone. I think that's going to do it for us tonight on Monday Night Rants. What a great game. Man, that was a great game tonight and a great weekend. Great college weekend as well. We don't talk as much college football on here. Maybe we could bring some of that to our show, our podcast as well.
Oh,
especially
I think so,
as we get closer and closer to the college football playoff, and all these games mean way more than they did the first few weeks of the season. And we don't talk any hockey at all, so we'll try to mix everything in as well. We'll do different games or different segments just based on different sports and just have a blast with it. So coming soon, like we said before, in sports we trust, in trust we sports. In trust we sports. How many times am I going to say that wrong?
I've done it like 4 times.
That's how we got the name anyways, from saying it wrong. So I guess that makes sense. We say it wrong the other way. So there you go.
Exactly.
In trust we sports. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Anthony, thank you so much. You got any plugs?
No, just make sure you follow me on Twitter at @ZaragozaAnthony for the new poll for Monday Night Rants. There's hope for there. Definitely check out In Trust We Sports on Twitter. We're going to be on all the platforms, so make sure you follow us there for all the cool stuff we have on there. And let's get ready for Week 7.
Week 7. What a great game we get blessed with this Thursday as well. The Arizona Cardinals and the Denver Broncos. Woo! It's going to be a real nail biter.
Man, I'm excited. I'm licking my chops right now.
Me too. We'll be recording a podcast while that's going on.
Exactly.
That'll be more exciting. We'll do more rapid fire stuff too, guys, going forward too. Like I said, next week, join us. Full NBA preview. I know it's a week late, but really, everyone's gonna say Warriors. Really doesn't matter. But we'll give you, MVP predictions and all that good stuff, Rookie of the Year, and who we think is going to be in each conference championships, and who we think is going to win, or will there be an upset? Maybe.
We're not having no upset. Okay, this is where I get to shine. There's gonna be no upset. I'm gonna get my 4th ring, and I'm just excited.
Yeah. When do you ever have to pull that bandwagon over for gas?
You know what? A lot, because we make a lot of stops.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
There's a lot of stops, so we don't get that great gas mileage on our sports car.
Okay. Yeah, all those gold trophies weighing it down a little bit, though. You would think would ruin the gas mileage even more there. Or all those rings.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Tomorrow night, man, get ready.
Tomorrow night, opening night for the NBA. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy the NBA. And enjoy Week 7. We'll catch you guys next week. Catch the podcast up this weekend as well. And until then, always remember, please always remember, guys, just spay and neuter your damn pets already. Boom.